Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Evolve Point, your one-stop shop for all the Shadowverse news, reviews, and views. That's my new intro, I've decided. With me, as always, is Kaelan and Tanko. Hello.
Hello, hello.
Hey, yo, it's the boys. Hi.
We're back, and it's actually not that long since the last podcast, but this is actually our usual time. The last podcast was just late, so do not be confused. We're back. And great timing to be back, too, because the new set just came out, so that's probably what we've all been doing this week, unless you all have some other stuff you've been doing this week that I'm not hearing about yet.
I continue to hell dive.
And Tanko?
Today I just casually dropped like $120 on 2 Yu-Gi-Oh cards.
This is why I don't play Yu-Gi-Oh, I think.
And I still need to buy one more, and it's not even the best deck in format.
Are you playing Yubel still?
I am still playing Yu-Bo, but the deck I'm building is a ritual deck, and I try to build every ritual deck.
Oh, I see.
Funny blue cards. The deck I'm making, it's really good. It's technically tier 1, but that doesn't matter because Yu-Gi-Oh is in a 2-0 format right now.
RIP. Well, it's fine as long as your locals are fine, so don't worry about it.
Yeah, we mostly play baby decks anyway.
Yeah, and I've been up all night doing videos for the new set. I was up till like 3 a.m. doing videos, which is probably why I'm sleepy right now, so.
You're on that grind.
Sleepy.
It is what it is. Shall we just get into the... Oh wait, I forgot to intro you guys. I'm the streamer and caster. Tanko is a streamer and Kaelan does the Reddit.
Yeah.
I have to do that every time in case this is somebody's first episode. So.
Just in case.
All right, let's get into the news. Well, obviously the biggest news is that the Heroes of Shadowverse set, the last set ever for Shadowverse, came out yesterday with new cards, a new story mode, which is the Whispers of Purgation Last Words Part 1, new Grandmaster and Score rewards, new Battle Pass with Blade Right's Hero and Forbidden Power cosmetics, as well as the Teresa Battle Pass leader, the Witch from the new story mode. So we're going to talk about this as our main topic, our first impressions of the new set. So we don't have to talk about it here. Let's just move on. Adding on to the patch is the new temp decks, Natura Dragon, Machina Shadow, Wrathblood, and they were also added to the practice mode. Did you guys see the list for these?
Not yet, but the temp decks, they're usually not very viable unless you do some heavy editing to them.
I think the Wrathblood, I made a video about them, and I stand by what I said after looking at the results, that Wrathblood is probably the best investment out of these three, in my opinion.
Yeah, the temp decks, they're never complete, obviously, but they're a nice foundation to get started with. Wrath has the strongest foundation, and it's also probably cheaper to finish too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. With Wrath, well, it turns out Urias is apparently too slow, which is a twist to me that I did not expect.
That's crazy. But
a lot of Riz lists do still run the one of Elena, which is what the Wrathblood deck has, and then you just need 2 Diabolus and 2 of the new Chimera to finish it, basically. So yeah, it's actually not that hard. The Machina Shadow, that deck is super trash, but you do get Ania and Zebit, which you can use in mid Shadow, so you just like dissect it for parts, basically. And then the Natura Dragon, that deck is not only too slow, but a lot of the legendaries they give are a little strange too, so I don't know about that one, honestly. Maybe as the days go on, I'll change my mind, but so far on this first day, it's looking like Wrathblood is the best investment for the pre-built, because some people even got GM with Wrathblood already, so like, yeah, nice. There you go.
I actually usually forget to spend my deck tickets.
Yeah, Tanko?
I'm so relieved Natura Dragon is slow. Maybe someone will optimize it a bit better, but I was so scared of Natura Dragon. Just the concept of it filled me with terror.
There's some technology that people are doing. The new Motley Crew card has like no restrictions on fusion, so what you could do is just fuse all of your non-stormers and then gives Terminus Dragon, gives that like reduces all your stormers and then just go face after you reduce them past a certain threshold. So
Motley Who card?
Yeah, it's a new 2-cost spell. It's good.
Well, we did the card review and I don't remember.
This guy. We were just talking about this right before the recording too. It's like we were watching Kaelan play some games, and Kaelan's like, "What does this card do?" And Tanko's like, "I don't know." And I'm just there like, "What? You guys even play this game?"
I have approaching 6,000 hours. I do play. I just don't.
And Tanko
always
streams
play.
longer than me most days. It's still like, how do you guys not know any of the cards?
I only play one craft. Also, I'm a Yu-Gi-Oh player. I don't read.
Yeah, it's just very funny to me.
You just get the vibes by playing cards.
Yeah, for
I
sure.
play by feel.
All right, we also have, weirdly enough, this is the last Shadowverse set, but it has some of the most promos for microtransactions on release. So first, there's 10-pack bundles, which you can buy 10 times until 8 a.m. on April 2nd Pacific time, with Elena and Sekka cosmetics as purchase bonuses. So I bought all of those, but
I bought
that's pretty typical on every launch, though. Yeah.
Those
Even though
Sekka
I
sleeves are
know-
insane.
I understand it's a dead game. There's no point, but I still bought one, and I'm probably gonna buy the other one anyway.
Yeah, for the Elena and the Sekka. It's just the cosmetics look really good, and they're animated sleeves too.
Or rather, I'm referring to
passports.
like I'm specifically referring to the deck building fest crystal bundles.
Oh yes.
Oh god.
You can buy it 2 times, and you get 5,000 crystals and 25 packs each.
I think it's kind of weird that this is, I think, the only time they've offered a bundle of that nature.
I think so. Yeah.
If they had done that sooner, I probably would have
a lot
bought
of people would
these
have
things more
invested.
often.
Yeah. Same.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very strange to just suddenly do it at the very tail end of the game. Like, part of me wants to make like a joke, like, oh, are they fundraising to make a new leader for Worlds Beyond? Add some new fishes into the game or something.
They might be testing the waters for how they're going to monetize Worlds Beyond by.
Oh, that's
seeing
true. Could
people
be,
like
could
this
be.
bundle.
Yeah, they finally add some actual good crystal bundles at the very end when most normal people would never bother.
Yeah, I bought it though.
I
So
mean, I still might buy another one just to get the Sekka sleeves too.
we've
Personally,
been buying bundles, man.
Oh yeah, I'm personally a fan of the 7,500 crystal bundle for the same price of 80 USD. You got a lot more from that than just 5,000 crystals and 25 euros of Shadowverse tickets. It seems like it would be the same, but you can spend just only 50 crystals a day on a pack instead, so it can last a lot longer. This
That's
is
true.
the same
That
value.
bundle's limited though. It's only up to
It's 3 times
purchases,
only, yeah.
which I did years ago already. So
It took me years, but I did do those 3 bundles, yeah.
I don't.
We are definitely in like the 1% of Shadowverse players who spend an absurd amount of money on the game.
Yeah, I mean,
I have
like, to be
spent
fair,
hundreds of USD on
Yeah.
Shadowverse.
Yeah.
it's like, to be fair, we are content creators for Shadowverse, so it is what it is.
Well,
but
2 of us are at least.
yeah,
Yeah,
But, like, I
I'm
don't
just
understand-
in the community helping around, you know.
I don't understand why side games doesn't do the thing that, every gacha game does, where they reset those bundles every year, like every anniversary. Because it would
Right.
incentivize people to spend money again on those.
That would have been so
limited
nice.
bundles.
Yeah.
They should too, because people like in Genshin and stuff, they reset the crystal bundles and they're like, oh my god, can't wait to spend $1,000. It's like, this is like what every company wants.
Oh,
Yeah.
dude, I've waited all year to spend this much money on this game again.
Yeah. It's pretty crazy. They absolutely should do that. Also, even more promos. There's a 5x rotation select legendary guaranteed bundle also happening right now. But I am of the opinion that rotation select sucks because it doesn't get you pack points. So,
Yeah.
as far as
yeah,
I
it
can tell.
doesn't.
As far as I can tell, yeah. It doesn't, right?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know anyone that's ever bought rotation selection, because the idea of rotation selection was to help new players get invested into a new class.
Mhm.
But like, you would never spend crystals for that though. I feel like they should have
And-
made those rupees instead.
If you buy rotation select packs, you get cards from 5 different sets. So you're not getting many vials you can put towards the cards you actually need in case you don't get the cards you need.
I will say, though,
Whole thing spread out.
it is pretty funny. Rotation select reminds me a lot of, now that I'm a physical TCG player too, it's like a split, kind of. I just realized that.
Yeah, it's a case split. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, interesting. But that's enough of the paid promotion stuff. Now time for free stuff. Of course, everybody gets 10 free packs. And also, we just launched an event. I didn't do this. Shadowverse just launched an event where 1 daily pack, 8 packs total login event, which lasts until April 22nd, 1 p.m. Pacific time. So there you go.
Oh, and don't forget to check your crate if you scored in the top 10,000 or 1,000 in either ranked format. Rewards have just arrived for that as well.
True,
Yeah, like
true.
Kaelan did.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Also, if you're me, don't forget to check your email for the community support program packs. I forgot to claim those. I just now that you're talking about it, I just realized I have 10 packs that I haven't opened yet.
The thing I always forget to register for, even though I'm one of the most active content creators in the community.
Yeah, it's fair. You gotta just start doing it. Do you want me to remind you when I do it?
Every single time I remember it exists, it's on the very last day in the last hour. So I just don't bother.
Oh my god.
Like
the form takes literally like 2 seconds to do it too. I did mine in the last 5 minutes and I still managed to make it.
It's funny too, because every year SVO will acknowledge and award content creators of that year. And because I never submit anything, I can't get like officially sanctioned, like acknowledged in those events.
Oh, this is your own fault though.
Yeah, I know. Consequence of my inaction.
I can't get rewarded because I'm always hosting that, so rip. Sag. Anyway, that's the news. Finally, we also have known bugs updated. You can check the Shadowverse website for full information. But the weird bug we mentioned last time where you can't read card details during fusion animations, they fixed that. So they're on it. They're still fixing the bugs even as Worlds Beyond is coming out. So that's nice, as minor as they are.
We've hopped on that Shadowverse 1 has an outdated engine that's aged, but really, it didn't have too many bugs. They were able to build around the engine so that it didn't have many issues over the years.
Yeah, I mean the team does a good job of just like fixing it as it comes to, for the most part, except for that one issue where you like bounce 2 things or whatever and the game goes ballistic, and they haven't fixed that in like 8 years. That one I think they just straight up don't know how to fix because it's been so long.
You stream like a couple minutes after the expansion came out, and you actually had a game crash live.
I did have a game crash, yeah.
Rare. Yeah.
I had a Unity game crash. It even showed up like Unity failed or something like that. I'm like, oh, I've never had this before. That's interesting.
I didn't know that was possible.
Yeah, exactly. That happened to me. Anyway, that's the news. Now it's time for esports, and there is some pretty sad news in the esports category here. And I'll walk you through it. My 2 children who don't follow esports as closely, hold my hands. I will bring you through. First of all, Raid Shadowverse 2024 Spring Grand Finals has concluded. Of course, that was the one on March 24th, the day we recorded the last episode of this podcast, actually. And that one is concluded. The first place, of course, gets 10 million yen. The player Ippo Suko won with a lineup of Castel, Buff, and Helio, surprising nobody. And thank God the new expansion's out and we're done with that meta. For now, yeah, true. Also, Raid Shadowverse 2024 summer registration is open. This one is offline only, I believe, and May 4th and 5th is the prelims over in, I believe, Makuhara. Is it one of them is in Belisal and one of them is in Makuhara Messe. Makuhara? Makuhari? Why can't I speak Japanese? I should learn at this point. But yes, you can go there. So May 4th and 5th for the preliminaries, and then June 16th for the grands. Keep that in mind. Yes, it is Makuhari Messe for the prelims, and then Belisal Akihabara for the grand finals. There you go. And the participation is free of charge, but you know, you have to be in Japan, so it's going to be pretty tough for a lot of people to make it. Even though it's technically open to people outside of Japan, you do actually have to be in Japan this time. So the way Rage does it is usually like one, they have like an online one, and one, it's an offline one. So I think that's how that works. Yeah. So
aren't you gonna be there this time?
I actually am gonna be there, so I did register. Wish me luck.
Yippee.
But the problem is, if I don't have an entertainer visa, I can't get money. So I'm kind of just thinking of showing up and then dropping immediately and then just like hanging out.
Fair.
I don't know if that's allowed. If it's not allowed, I know that some people from Shadowverse listen to this podcast. If that's not allowed, just ignore what I just said.
Didn't hear that.
All right. Next, this is the sad news, guys. The pro teams for the next Rage Shadowverse pro season has been announced, and there's only 4 teams down from 8. Oja, Norception, Xyz, and SoftBank Hawks have all decided to not participate or even disband or refactor what their goals are in the wake of Shadowverse Worlds Beyond coming out. I feel like this is really, really bad optics, where they're just like unsure if they're going to be able to, if they want to carry over to Shadowverse Worlds Beyond, and they're straight up just disbanding their entire organization, or at least their Shadowverse divisions, because Worlds Beyond is replacing Shadowverse 1.
Considering how like real and actually professional, especially the Japanese esports scene is, that is a bit concerning.
I think it's sorry, go ahead.
I would hope that it's just they have to restructure some stuff to lead into a new game, but I don't know how esports stuff works. So
I think for me, my speculation is that it's probably just a lack of communication. Like, these are huge organizations, like you said, right? And they just don't have enough info on like how the scene is going to be in Worlds Beyond, or if they're even going to, you know, have the same competitive structure, or if they even are going to perform as well in Worlds Beyond compared to Shadowverse 1. Even that's not guaranteed, right? So
yeah, it's kind of iffy for them to commit when we still barely know anything about Worlds Beyond. News when?
That's what I'm saying. I think it's just a lack of communication. And then, you know, for these giant organizations where they have to have players on payroll and like managers and organizers and PR and, you know, everything, and they just don't have the full picture of like what their plan is going forward for an entire reboot of the game, it ends up being maybe too big a risk for them to take.
Yeah, I imagine it must be difficult to get that moving when there's no news, you can't commit to it, and when we do get news, there's only going to be like a month before release at that point. So
there are 4 teams that are sticking with them, though, out of the 8 that was in the last season. So it is interesting to me that it's sort of split down the middle, where 4 of them are just like, yeah, it's fine, we'll just keep going, and 4 of them are like, we got bills to pay. So
I think it's just a safe play. I think it's just a safe play to just let someone else take the risk on the new game, and then maybe once the ball gets rolling in the esports scene, maybe it's more popular than Shadowverse 1's esports scene, they might come back, and then they will have not risked investment in the early season.
Yeah, I mean, it's also just like, you know, if the game does get rolling, I guess it's not like they're not allowed to, like, you know, buy back their team and like put the team back together, right? So like they could always reassemble.
Can just float around in the esports scene independently, I'm sure.
Yeah, or stream. Like,
yeah,
for example, Rigze, who I believe is retiring from one of these teams, he streamed just on the expansion release, and he had 3,000 concurrents for Shadowverse, which is absurdly good for Shadowverse Digital. So, hey, it is what it is. There you go.
I do think that maybe these companies wouldn't have to be concerned if, you know, Side Games did give us news.
Yeah, where's the communication,
some
right?
Advertising to get the ball rolling for Worlds Beyond sooner.
I mean, it's also the fact that the World Championship for 2025, the prize pool is much lower than previous World Grand Prix, and we don't know why exactly that is, but honestly, it's probably because it's just the first year of a new game, in my opinion. Because if you think back to even Shadowverse 1 coming out in 2016, we didn't even get an esports circuit until 2017, the year after. So with this new game, I think they might just be like testing the waters first, and we'll see how successful it actually is.
And say even just this year for Shadowverse Evolve's tournament scene was frankly pretty embarrassing when it first came out, but like that was back when we had you had to qualify at a shop in order to go to regionals. So regionals was only just going to be like 16 people, and that's it. But now in recent news, they're opening the floodgates for Shadowverse Evolve, and there's like 3 different large scale tournament events going on throughout the year.
It definitely just takes some time for, I think, especially mobility wise, like these are like giant corporations, right? And it takes sort of like they're less. This is just speculation on my part, but I would assume that, you know, they risk adverse, and also takes a while for them to mobilize changes. So I guess we'll find out if Shadowverse is going to be a flop or a hit, what happens going forward. But I just wanted to bring this news up because this dropping of teams is kind of, 1, a bad look, and 2, a little concerning, considering what the scene's going to look like going into the new game.
Hopefully, it's a wake-up call for side games.
Well, because also, like, Worlds Beyond isn't a completely new game. It's a continuation of Shadowverse 1. Like, you know, logically, most people who played Shadowverse 1 are at least going to try Worlds Beyond. So the fact that they're taking such a careful approach when it's not a new IP, I feel like is a little confusing too. But I guess, you know, they're really just wanting to see, like my speculation is that they're just really like waiting to see if it's going to do any good when the game comes out, or if it's going to, you know, stay the same size or, you know, be better or worse compared to the first game. So
yeah.
Also, continuing on, Digitus Shadowverse Amateur League is also not continuing into Shadowverse Worlds Beyond. So now we have the Pro League and the Amateur League both downsizing / discontinuing. So, oh boy.
Is that also a thing that could just get rebranded or something, or?
I didn't read their full message because it was white text on black text on a white page in Japanese. I couldn't auto translate it unless I like put it through an image processor. But basically, it's like, we're not continuing to Worlds Beyond. So GG, which is kind of sad because I know a lot of competitive players cut their teeth on desal as you know, just good practice and to meet new people. So that's a bit sad. All right, that's all the sad news out of the way. Shall we move on? JCG for the new set. The rotation tournaments are happening. Actually, there's one today, first of all. Then there's another one on the 29th and the 31st. And then there's a Take-Two one on the 30th. Obviously, those are happening and haven't happened yet. So we'll report on the results of those next week. And also, I wanted to shout out a community member tournament by MS Alfie doing the Shadowverse Monthly Cup on March 29th, so just 2 days from now, with SVO community tournament prizing support. So, you know, it's like emblems, I think packs as well. So check that out and just have a good time with the community. Yeah, Alfie's a great guy. He's always doing work for the community, so love to see it. We don't get a whole lot of open English tournaments like this, especially run by community members. So go check that out.
Yeah, and Alfie is the guy over on the Discord server. He's carrying it on his back.
Absolutely. I've had nothing but good interactions with Alfie, so I'm happy. I hope for his success. And hopefully he continues doing this into Worlds Beyond. Unless he's going to do an announcement like black text on a white background, like Shadowverse Monthly Cup is not... That would be sad. All right, there's not really any Shadowverse Evolve news, but in Japanese they did announce all of the mechanics of the Vanguard Shadowverse Evolve crossover. So if you're curious about that, it's basically just like you got drive checks now, but
we got drive checks and triggers. We actually get the drive check triggers in Shadowverse Evolve.
Yeah, but it's only if you're playing a Vanguard deck. Otherwise, it just peeps one. It doesn't actually activate the trigger if you're not playing a Vanguard exclusive deck. But yeah, it's good because the critical doesn't just smack you for 12 bajillion. It's just like +2 attack, right? Something like that. So it's fine.
Yeah, it's kind of hilarious that the way to balance out critical triggers was to put them in a different game where you don't just die to instant damage.
But that's pretty exciting, and I know that a lot of the Vanguard community is excited about that collab. So
I'm so happy.
I'm a little sad. Different Fight, I guess, put out a video recently. Also, happy birthday, Different Fight. It's his birthday today.
Oh my god, Chris, hi.
He put out a video just recently about card games achieving parity, and people are just like, I don't want to wait a year for Vanguard Shadowverse, man, to come to English. And honestly, I kind of agree. If Shadowverse Evolve achieves parity, that would make me so happy, but that's a dream for now.
After playing Japanese CCGs pretty much my whole life, I'm just used to it. I'm used to having a huge gap between the original release and English release. It sucks, but it is what it is. Especially, usually there has to be some kind of gap because it does take time to localize, translate, and distribute the colors worldwide. Especially in the case of Vanguard, there used to be, I don't know if this is the case anymore, but Vanguard used to have so many troubles with mistranslations. There were typos and misprints every single expansion for the better lifespan of Vanguard.
It doesn't have to be this way. It doesn't have to be this way.
It doesn't have to be this way.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't the OCG for Yu-Gi-Oh different effects and wording on the Japanese cards compared to their
Nope.
eventual printings in English?
Nope. It's all the same cards. It's just a different ban list.
Okay.
Sometimes there's an errata that happens in Japanese that takes time for that errata to come to worldwide format, but otherwise the cards are pretty much the same.
Because from what I understand, Shadowverse Evolve, the cards are identical as they're printed in Japanese as they are eventually
They
printed
are
in languages.
identical, yes, but the ban lists
I
are
don't-
slightly different, but they are identical, yeah.
I don't know a single TCG where the cards themselves are directly different between languages.
Well, the reason why this is being brought up recently is because Bandai was announcing that they're going to achieve parity for Digimon, I think within the year. And that's not even across just English and Japanese, that's across Chinese too. So it's like, man, I want that for me. Dear Lord, I've seen what you've been doing for other people and I want it for me instead.
It's extremely difficult for physical TCGs to reach parity. That's why I'm so grateful for Shadowverse Digital, because I didn't realize how nice it was to have actual simultaneous releases until I played Shadowverse Digital.
This is why. One day.
Imagine if you had to,
That's my dream.
Imagine if I had to wait a year to play a new Baphomet, for example.
Oh, that'd be
no,
goodness. That'd be horrible. The decks would be coming out solved already. There would be no experimentation.
Yeah, Kaelan, it would be, wouldn't it, Kaelan?
Oh.
That's how it is. I mean, to be fair, there are times when, the English player base does innovate. They're basically picking up where the Japanese meta left off, kind of, and they just, innovate on top of that in some cases, but it would be hype. It would be more hype to have everything come out at the same time and just, be able to share across borders, honestly, so...
Yeah.
That's just my naive dream, I guess. Maybe one day. Anyway, shall we move on to the main topic, everybody?
Cool.
Our first impressions of the new set. New set, yay! Exactly. Yeah, what have you guys been playing, and what do you think so far?
I'll let Petty go first while I formulate my thoughts.
So I have tried out most of the Protocraft archetypes available. I've tried out Machina, I've tried out Control, I've tried out Artifact.
Did you try the one that just is a random pile of guys and you Ilgan you face?
Yeah, I tried Rally Urgano. Baphomet sucks.
Rip.
Baphomet, I mean, he's really nice when the 8-cost buy does hit board. That is game changing, but his fusion is so restrictive. It's so strict.
I also have to say that Baphomet's main body seems really good until you realize that Buff Dragon is still in rotation and they can just heaven scale Dragon it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that happened, but at the very least, it's still having a heal 5 and draw 5 is still something against Buff Dragon, but man, the fusion effect is so inconvenient because I didn't realize before that the fusion is only once per match. So when you fuse, you can't go for a Tisiphone twice if you have
the same
one copy of Baphomet. And I mean, that's one thing. That's one thing. That was just me being a Yu-Gi-Oh player, not reading the card. But then I realized that you also can't summon anything if you don't have the proper play point requirement. As in, obviously, if you don't have enough play points, you wouldn't summon, obviously. But if you have more than 5, if you have 6 or more play points and you try to do the first fusion, you don't spend 4 to get to Symphony, you get nothing.
Yeah, you don't get Electro either. You just don't do anything.
So there's an obvious reason why you don't, and that's so that when you play the full body, say you top deck a Baphomet, you can fuse him on that turn and play him for the full 3 followers by fusing 2.
Yeah, I actually didn't realize that. I didn't realize that aspect until later because I had a game where I had the Baphomet and I was thinking about Renaissance Baphomet where I was like, oh, I can't fuse this right now because I'm gonna spend my play points to summon Tisiphone instead. But yeah, I guess that is nice, I suppose, but Belfort is just so inconvenient to play. And of course he's high cost, so you have to stall if you wanna focus on a deck specifically around him. You can throw him into Gratina Machina because you can come dropping down an 8-cost Belfo alongside Gratina to push damage is really funny. It is a huge advantage. But I've learned that you can just play Ilkano instead.
Yeah, we were so wrong on Ilganio in our card review. We thought like that it wasn't that good, but it actually ends up being just like the piece that Gratina needed because it's exactly 12 damage, and then Gratina herself is 8, so it's 20 damage combo.
Yeah,
And I did not consider that when I was reviewing the card.
For me, I was so I was a fool because I was like, oh, we don't have any good puppet support, and you don't wanna you don't play Ilganau and Artifact because you don't have the space. You don't have the deck space. You don't have the board space. Machina though, I was like, yeah, you get rallies with Machina, but you stop getting good rally in the late game. But then I realized the reason why I thought the reason why I thought Machina didn't get to rally 20 was because Machina would just stop summoning to play Killshot or Eden for game instead.
Yeah.
But now I realize that, oh yeah, if you do get Ilganau off, it's more damage on turn 7 compared to those guys. So it's not bad. Ilganau's not bad.
Pretty cool. I think my experience with Portal is that I was playing the Machina build, but I wasn't playing Ilganio because I didn't pack any of her, so I was playing Elena instead to do the funny play where you can discard Draconatron from Hover Biker and then get Rowan. And then if you set up Rowan with Gratina, the turn after, it's a 0 play point, 11 damage swing. So
I tried playing Elena as well too, but I never got that combo off.
So funny. I did it multiple times too. I was like, wait, this is actually sick.
You're so good. I'm so jealous.
Simply draw Reporter, to be honest.
I also did start playing Artifact just today with the post-apocalyptic girls, and Artifact feels really good with the new with the girls with the new legendary. So good, in fact. The terminal girls are so good for Artifact that I kind of just lose most of my games where I don't get the girls.
Yeah, they're really good, and they actually made Artifact so much more popular. I've been seeing quite a few of them on ladder, to be honest. I mean, obviously not as much as Blood. We'll get into that in a second. But when I do face Artifact, or when I do face Portalcraft, I'm like, oh, this is probably Artifact with terminal girls, and post-apocalyptic girls, and it's usually correct. So
that's too many syllables for me to say. Artifact still struggles to get damage to close games. That's always been my problem with Artifact, where it has a whole lot of moving parts, and squeezing in all the parts to get the damage within a timely fashion is really inconvenient. But the post-apocalyptic rules does give you that stall to buy you time to get the rest of the damage you need. It's nice. It's cute.
Speaking of stalling you, I've only played about 17 games in this expansion so far because I was tired the night it came out and I was busy today. But I did play some Unlimited today. And post-apocalyptic girls can actually stop Hozumi. It's one of Portal's new and only ways of stopping Hozumi from killing you, which is pretty good for them. And over in Runecraft, D-Shift got Rosy Court Magician, and she's also able to shut down Hozumi, at least not as good as post-apocalyptic girls, but a Rosy Court Magician will prevent quite a lot of damage. And you still have the counter magics in the deck to stop Hozumi. So basically, Hozumi did get damaged by this expansion, which is probably a good thing.
Any more Unlimited insights from Mr. Unlimited?
Sword's insane. Sword's absolutely cracked out its mind right now. It just plays a Weiss behind at least 3 wards. Shuts down everything. Sword's
Seems good.
Amazing. Control Sword really benefited from that buff to Omega, and I think it's just hit a point where it's able to be a contender.
I saw people sharing the U1 Turbo deck. Just get 5 U1s for OTK.
Yep. I called it. I was right.
That's such a roly deck in rotation. And Unlimited, though, maybe.
Yeah, I haven't tried the rotation variant yet, but it looks really goofy. But I did try playing a really terrible Resonance Belfo hybrid, and obviously it didn't work correctly. But there is something there with the U1 anti-copy combo. It's cute. It's
Speaking of things that
consistent it is.
Speaking of things that don't work correctly, I played Natra Dragon first, and that deck is bad. It's like
Thank God.
really, really, really slow. But the good news is the chefs are in the kitchen and there have been new developments. So now we're using Motley Crew to fuse non-stormers and then Terminus Dragoon to only reduce storm cards so that you only have to reduce Valdane to like 14 before you can OTK. Maybe 12. I don't know the exact threshold, but your Valdane has to do so much less work now because you're only getting Stormers off of Terminus these days. So that's a new development. I haven't tried that updated list yet, but I did try the control version and it was super slow. So that's definitely on my list to play next. Then I played Latica, and that deck is ridiculous. So
It does like it'd be ridiculous from her preview build.
It does sort of lose to like there is counterplay. Like if the opponent can see it coming, but if you actually get all the pieces in hand, you can do like 20 plus damage on turn 7, and I actually pulled that off multiple times on the first day. So it's a very strong deck. So
I've seen the flow charts. I've seen the Latica flow charts. That's how you know it's a real Forest Craft deck.
That's right, man.
OTK flow charts, just like Roach.
They have the mathematical formulae as well of how to calculate lethal quickly. It's like RX plus C or whatever. It's pretty sick. And then
I guess that's why I like Hozumi Forest over an Unlimited. It's not a real Forest deck. No brain is required for Hozumi.
And then
no brain.
Yeah.
Latica being a Forest Craft deck, I have seen so many bad Latica players. A lot of people seem to go for Latica on like turn 5 or 6 for 13 damage. Like they spend a token on that same
No,
turn.
you don't do that.
Yeah, you don't do that. Like there's so many ways to heal that off. It's such a huge commitment when it's not even lethal.
You're supposed to use 2 spells on turn 7 for 23 damage or whatever with Avatar of Growth.
Insane.
Yeah, it's just being greedy at that point. But yeah,
you're people need to get used to it. I mean, I don't really blame them though. Literally, the set just came out. Just give them time to learn it.
Obviously, it's a new deck. It's just funny that there's just a tradition from my perspective of every single Forest Craft player on ladder just happens to job.
Yeah, it's pretty
Except
funny.
for the ones that don't.
The ones that don't also, they have like 30,000 points every single time. It's like, yeah of course you're good at this deck. And then after that, last night and this morning, I crafted my own Spell Boost Rune deck. Spell Boost Pure, not the Machina Hybrid. Machina Hybrid, honestly, I don't think it works. You have to go all in on Machina or all in on Spell Boost, I think, in my opinion. At least on my first impressions. And that's because Tetra requires a lot more investment than I initially expected. Getting Tetra down just as a body is super bad. You kind of have to get her with Ginger for you to be able to OTK. If you just get Tetra and then like try to win only with the Tetra main body, it's way harder because she herself is so hefty at 4 play points, right? So that's what I found, that the hybrid doesn't really work.
That's
but
why you're playing Speedy Boots.
That's why I'm playing Speedy Boots. Yes. It's incredibly satisfying, and I was just going to comment when Kaelan talked about Rosy Court Magician. That card impresses me so much. That card is so good. I had a game today, this morning, right before I streamed, where I got like 2 Rosy Courts and a full board, and they were evolved on like turn 5 or whatever, and nobody can do anything against that, and I just won. It's like really good if you get the roll. I will say the problem with that deck, as is with every spell boost deck that has ever existed, if you have the spell boost near the bottom of the deck and you draw the deck in the wrong order, the game gets exponentially harder. And that's been true with D-Shift, Daria, everything. So, you know what? I honestly, kind of nice. A return to form of the original ways to play the game. Forest is the mathematician's class. Spell boost, bricks. Is good times. We're back to basics.
Portal definitely doesn't have its original identity going right now, though.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I've been playing so far. I will say, first impressions, this set has been way more complicated than previous sets in terms of potential deck building synergies and execution of lists. Like, you compare Latica, Forest, and Spell Boost Rune current state to like Buff Dragon, and it's like the dichotomy is enough to give you a whiplash of like how complicated the decks actually are to pull off.
Yeah, I was playing a bit of rotation just before this, and I didn't know what I was fighting. Just Decks are complicated as hell right now.
They really, I think with this final set, because it's the last set, they kind of went all in and they were just like, let's go ham, honestly.
You know what's crazy though? Like, the power level for this set obviously is really high, but I've noticed that between cards like Rosie and Post-Apocalyptic Girls, there's actually a large amount of defensive play in this format as well.
Mm-hmm.
So far, it feels like for the first time in years, we actually have an appropriate balance between power, like aggressive power, and defense.
I think you're going to be saying that for the next couple days, and then it'll be over.
I know that. I understand.
Over.
At least with the intent with the card design, it does seem like they actually tried to hit some kind of balance. Like there was an effort there instead of just going all in on defense and all in on aggro.
Yeah, there is quite a few counter magics this set, which is fair to say.
There's a lot of counter magics. There's so much more healing.
I would agree with you if it wasn't for the fact that mono is so strong.
Yeah, obviously mono's really good. So far, I don't know if it's just specifically the decks I'm playing, but mono's really strong, but I haven't had too much trouble against her.
I feel like that deck is a little... I know it's the early set, so like we can't really say. But obviously it's a deck with a straightforward game plan, but that deck is a lot stronger. I mean, I knew it was going to be strong in the card review. We even said it was going to be good. But it's even better than I thought it was going to be, which is scary. Because the amount of damage it gets out so fast is really absurd.
Bro, the fact that Ruder of Retribution Invoke Hard Evo is used to OTK now.
You can also get Lane and Alfie to do the same thing.
Yeah.
It's so good. You keep calling any card that has two dudes in it the BJ Brothers.
That's what it is.
Come on, man.
But I'm just saying that like it's like the easiest deck to like conceptualize, so it makes sense that it's doing well in this early meta. Even though technically it's still quite execution heavy, but like out of the other ones, it's like a little easier to wrap your head around how you craft it, right? But I hope that somebody figures it out, because right now it's looking a little overtuned. But then again, like I said, it is only the first day, so
yeah.
I don't know if this is just me being optimistic and rosy glasses or whatever, but it feels like almost every deck right now feels satisfying to play with.
The spell boost deck, I was just gonna say, like, I agree with you, because the spell boost deck I played just gives me so much serotonin from just playing the spell over and over again. So I'm with you.
At least compared to previous expansions, it feels like the gameplay of all these new decks just feels nice to pilot. It just feels neat.
Well, I mean, I feel like there's a lot more agency given to the player. Like, you're not... I mean, listen, you could just play Buff Dragon if you're a demon.
Yeah. I actually feel like I can compete against Buff Dragon now. Like,
and I feel like
the high roll.
Every turn I actually have decisions I can make that actually impact bigly the outcome of the game. So that feels really good. So
I don't feel completely helpless to turn 7 OTKs. I actually feel like I can do something about them to an extent.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously, for Artifact, that just depends on if I even get Post-Apocalyptic, which I lose most games where I don't get them. So
yeah, I kind of feel you on that. When I'm up against Blood, I'm just like, okay, where's my Rosy Court? Where's my Air? If I don't get those, I lose. Yeah. Anyway, Kaelan, you gotta hop in, brother. Are you still sleepy today?
Rotation? No,
yeah.
Well, I just don't have anything to say about rotation. I haven't played enough.
No. I mean, you gotta hop in on the game. Like, are you free today to just like smash some games finally, or are you still busy?
Yeah, I'll probably play some more after the recording. Gonna try and get some wins in Unlimited. I know I should be playing rotation. It's just I don't feel like it.
You're just enjoying Unlimited too much?
I don't really feel like it.
Yeah, Unlimited's pretty good. Although games realistically do only last around 5 turns.
Well, if you were gonna jump into rotation, what would you think you would start with?
Natura Dragon. I'll definitely have to try that.
Yeah, I'm gonna try out the list with the
trying it.
I'm gonna try out the list with the Storm package and report back to you and see if it's any good. Yeah.
Terminal Dragon might finally have a chance to be good. I've been playing him in Buff Dragon, Big Dragon for a while, and he quite often just hits the wrong cards.
Dude, if you like,
a way to fuse them away.
If you like big, it's just you just put Rolla in it. It's good. All right. Any final thoughts of the set?
Machina Shadow bad?
Yeah, Machina Shadow is pretty sad. I feel like Machina Shadow, literally, they just take Luna, because it's an okay mid-game card, and they take, what's it called? Zebit, and then they take that 4-cost spell, which is Pot of Greed, and then they just put it in a different deck, and it's not Machina Shadow anymore. They just took, like, the best cards from Machina Shadow and just put it in mid. It's like, okay, that's fine.
I queued
Anyone
up
playing
against...
a Tem yet?
No, yeah, they are playing a Tem. Yeah.
Okay, that's good.
It's just that, like, a Tem... Like, they're taking the Machina stuff and they're just putting it in an Atem deck and then leaving every other Machina card behind. Basically.
Yeah, because Anea is just a good value card in general. Atem, the Necromancy deck, actually looks genuinely decent. I did fight against someone that was playing I queued up against a verified, checkmarked pro player today.
Whoa, those are rare.
He was testing out a Machina Necromancy hybrid.
Yeah.
Or, Anea is generic, but he also threw in Iolons to search, I guess. It did not cook. It didn't seem to work out, but maybe there is something there. There is some potential there, maybe.
It's that shared intent card or whatever it's called, where it's like 4 costs get 2 costs and then make them cost 0. That card is really good for Necromancy because it's just like 1 card for so many shadows.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that the Necromancy deck is definitely one I'm going to try next. That's my final word, I guess.
It is really funny that Anea is basically legendary Ding Dong.
Yeah, basically.
Ding Dong.
All right. If that's it for everybody, I guess I'll say we are still in the honeymoon phase of the new set, but I'm enjoying it so far, so I'm happy.
How did you guys do in the finals of the GP?
I was in Group B because I didn't play Stage 1, so. I got 2-1 in Group B finals. I lost to Amulet, of course.
You would have gotten 3 if you played Pazuzu.
How did you do?
Pazuzu Roos was actually pretty goated when I played it. Like, unironically, it actually cooked. Obviously, it's lowly, but...
What's your finals, Tanko?
I did end up playing Machina. Not even because I'm Protocraft guy. Of course, I'm going to play Machina. No, I was hoping for Token or something. No, I was hoping for Roost. But I did do pretty okay. I did get 3-2 in Group A. However, one of those matches I completely threw. I had Nicola. I had Nicola with Ginger token. I'm like, I just win. But I accidentally played both Nicolas when the opponent had Colonel.
Bro.
So obviously the last was just pop the other Nicola before I could get the other token. So I was like, I just died now. Oopsie, boopsie. And then I did.
Sag. Yeah. What about you, Kaelan?
For me, I drafted a really, really insanely good Machina deck. Just perfect, honestly. And then I lost both games with it. Yep, 0 wins.
No, you see, Kaelan, you brought up this topic as a random tangent at the end of our main topic, and I thought for sure you were going to brag about 5 wins or something.
No. Ruined. No.
The opposite happened. Well,
got destroyed.
There's your little mini topic about GP right after our main topic. Yay. Shall we move on to the question of the week? So last week's question, if you guys didn't know, we ask a question every week to the community, and you might have a chance of being read on the episode. And of course, last week's question was, what deck will you play first in Heroes of Shadowverse? G. Vaccaro writes, Evo Blood hands down. Sucks to lose Alice, but Mono My Beloved is finally back. Well, good news! It is busted!
Vaccaro's eating good right now.
Andrian Wizard writes, Machina to play Belfchan. Bad news.
I think someone's going to figure out that deck.
I hope you enjoy Ilgan Yu as much as Belfchan, so because it looks like that's the real sauce.
What if the secret isn't Baphomet? It's Technolord.
Yo.
No. Technolord is so bad. At least for Protocraft. Technolord is so bad.
And then Nathaniel Michael writes, Buff Dragon. Absolute demonic behavior, honestly.
Evil.
That was over on the Twitter side, but over on the YouTube side, where I asked the same question, we got somebody saying, at 15 Nunka says, Swordcraft today, Swordcraft tomorrow, Swordcraft forever. Bad news. That class gets literally soloed by Leon and Alfie and Lily, so that's pretty sad.
I have not seen much swords since. Yeah, I think I've only seen 2 swords.
You can go super aggro and just like storm them down, but if they land a Leon or a Lily and they can recover, it's like actually so sad.
Good news. Might go over to Unlimited. Sword's cracked.
Good news. Go to Unlimited. Yeah.
Sword might very well be a case of it just hasn't been solved yet because Sword has so many options right now.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe people just have to fine tune the specific lineup that works. I don't know.
Yeah, right now everybody's just going face, but then like people are gonna stabilize, and you know, I'm a little worried. I'm a little worried about Sword Bros because they just got a bunch of storms, and you know that Lily is a thing. So
every sword card printed in this expansion is 5 play points or less.
Yeah.
They don't have a lot of options.
And Nia Mickey writes, I might try Necromancy Shadow first with Lubel and Atem. Good news! Those are both good cards.
Yeah, they are pretty scary.
Yeah.
I think I only really survived against Lubel specifically because I had like 3 wards up against them.
If you Atem and Lubel in the same turn 7, I believe that's 18 damage. So
pretty good.
Yeah, it's
Not
pretty
bad.
good. That's a good card. The only problem is that Atem doesn't do AoE, so you do actually have to deal with an opponent's board if you Atem, so it's kind of sad. Which is why you should run, 3 Viscarias, I guess, to help clean up, but yeah.
Oh, dude, I almost lost a Viscaria because I forgot she heals as well.
Yeah, she heals 4.
The heal
She's a
4
good
is
card,
actually
man.
Pretty big. Yeah, she's good overall. She's good.
Viscaria was always going to be good if there was ever any low-cost thing that consumed Necromancy. And the funny thing is, it's freaking Luna again. Like, we're back. We're back. All right. Now, over on the Discord, discord.gg/Ignideus, I also asked this question. And Mock writes, Spell Boost, Rune, and Lina Haven will be my first picks. Hoping this is their time to shine. New Tetra is exciting, and I'm going to enjoy making people salty with new Marlon also. Well, Lina is used, but not with Marlon. Lina Amulet got a 38 win streak. So,
Yikes.
Oh, dude. So that reminds me, when I was playing Artifact, I did fight against an Amulet Haven. They got double copies of the Transmute Covenant out in one turn. I didn't even know that was possible. But because of the post-apocalyptic girls, I played 2 copies and just tanked both of the burn damages from them.
nice.
And then he played a 3rd copy, and I tanked that, and I still killed him. He played all 3 transmutes, and it didn't matter for him.
I think that they've been evolving rapidly, Tanko. I would be concerned because they're starting to get pretty scary. I haven't actually seen it in action myself, but friend of the channel. I don't actually know him that well, but he's always been friendly when I talk to him. Saturn 5 Live has been playing it, and I'm probably gonna go watch his stream VOD after this to see what's going on, so I can learn it myself. Because 38 is that is nothing to sneeze at, even in the early expansion.
I was able to survive against them, but I am seeing the potential there.
The new Tetra deck is cool, mostly with the Ginger. I feel like the main body is tough. You have to just get the 1 cost, so yeah, it is what it is. And then Leo writes, either Valdane or Latica. 2 favorite classes seem extremely busted, so I'm excited to kill everything with them. Latica is very strong. Valdane seems really slow, but again, new developments are happening every day. Valdane, the Storm adjustment, I'm going to have to give it a shot, but yeah, pretty exciting stuff. That's it for the question of the week. And we also answered this today, what deck we played first. So there you go. That's our first impressions and everybody else's first impressions too. But next week's question, once we have a little more time to cook and the meta starts to settle a little bit, the next week's question is, what's your favorite new deck so far? Because you know that the first week is always the week of the most rapid development of the meta. So I believe a lot of these answers will change very much just in the course of a short 7 days. So there you go.
Yeah, the meta will likely stabilize within a week, so we'll see how dramatically our opinions change by then.
And we'll also answer that when next week comes and see if our opinions also change by then. So, Tanko, gun to your head, gun to your deck. Which portal deck do you think is actually the best right now?
Probably Artifact, just because the post-apocalyptic girls carry so hard.
All right.
But again, if you don't get them on time, you really suffer.
Let's put a pin in that, and we'll revisit it next week to see if your opinion changes. Kaelan, you haven't even played yet, so
I'm gonna call it. Techno Lord Portal is a sleeper deck and is going to create some fear in people's hearts when I figure out how it works.
Kaelan, you realize Technoloord is marking the cards played, not summoned.
Why did they print him like that?
It's also not. It's also not an AOE. It's a Chimera effect, so it's split damage. This is that's the swing for the fences of a man who has not played the format yet.
Why do they hate me?
And
the only deck that can really play Technoloord for higher damage is Mark and Rune, and they're not even trying to go for that strategy.
And I'm going to put a pin in mine. I think my favorite deck I think right now it's Spell Boost, but I think by next week, if I try this Valdane adjustment, that's going to be my new favorite deck. So that's my prediction. Yeah, if it works. All right. Well, everybody, that's it for today's episode. This week's episode. It feels like we do this. The last one was 3 days ago, so it's pretty close together. But this is meant to be a weekly podcast, and we'll see you next week or the next episode of Evolve Point. Thank you for listening. Appreciate ya. You can find Tanko and Kaelan in the description or info box or whatever on whatever platform you're listening on. And yeah, totally tune in next week for even more news. And I'm really, really just hoping that we finally hear something about Worlds Beyond at some point before I die. So that would be nice.
An old challenge.
Any last words?
My summon sign on Nivell.
What does that even mean?
It's a planet.
Tanko?
Roly poly, last words, draw one. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Oh, wait, today's locals for Shadowverse Evolve. Maybe I'll go.
Oh, yay.
Wait, no. I have a lot of work to do, though, so maybe not. Feels bad.
No.